Good evening. Ira Epstein with your financial market wrap-up, and this wrap-up is for Tuesday evening, the 31st of May, 2022, last trading day of the month, and what we've got now is a market that gets super interesting right here. First off, we had, as you know, in the month of May, 7 weeks, a good part of May, all down weeks. Then we had the last week coming back up in the market finally. And now I think we go into what I'll call a chop affair. I agree. The market could get that short covering rally that it began last week. You had a down day today, but one day proves nothing. In the metal market, still a lot of pressure on the market to the downside, but I don't think there's as much downside objective as traders think. And that's because I think that the base metals are going to get a bid off of the fact that Shanghai is reopening. If Shanghai reopens, they'll need products from the other cities that have been closed down in China, fill their supply chains, get the order train, if you will, going. And from there, the world starts moving, which brings us into the world inflation market. There's a huge argument amongst traders as to whether inflation is peaking. Now, where it's not peaking is the energy market. I've moved over today to the August crude in both WTI and Brent, and I've shifted gears already into the September notes and bonds. So be aware of that when you're doing your trading. But what I was saying about inflation, food inflation, if you looked at wheat today, looked like it was coming apart. Wheat went limit down. But wheat's been one of the easier markets to call a big break in because for the past 2 weeks, minimum, the EU has gotten aggressive with calling for wheat exports, a corridor that Russia agreed to about 10 days ago in principle, and then they said they'd like to talk to Turkey, and they have a June 8th meeting coming where they're trying to figure out a way to open it. Going with that, today the Biden administration offered comfort letters. You know what that is? I didn't understand the term. And the U.S. government can offer this letter and say, hey, we have sanctions and all this on Russia, but with a comfort letter for this event that they're going to allow it, the shipment of grain. That's what it's going to go to. Certain things can happen. Now, does that mean they're going to allow ships to get U.S. insurance? I don't know. You know, are the ships that are going to carry this Russian flag ships, other ships that carry the grain out of the Ukraine when it comes there? I don't know enough. They're still putting all the pieces together, but the fact that grain is coming, and I think you should count on that, what happens is grain prices anticipate that. Get rid of this. How often is it going to come? Is it regular shipments? Nobody knows the answers to this yet. This is in the early planning stages, but markets hear that. They hear a comfort letter. They hear a June 8th meeting between Lazarov and military people going to Turkey to set up these corridors. Okay. You still got to clean all the mines out. You got to give the Ukrainians assurances. The world's going to want to know what if Russia attacks one of these ships that's carrying Ukrainian grain. There's going to be many, many, many questions. But a lot's being known now. That's why I question food inflation might be there. Edible oils have shot up. Maybe there's going to be now. Ukraine is one of the world's largest producers, if not the largest, of sunflower oil. Is that going to be included? There's so much I don't know. In the S&P, we've had a correction and a bounce. Okay, it's nice to get bounces. So last week, the market had a 6.5% bounce. You can get 10%. I said that a week ago. Any point here, you can get a 10, 15% bounce off the low. That's typical in bear markets. Learn to trade bear markets. This is not a bull market. If I'm wrong, I'll say, boy, was I wrong on that one. That's not looking like a bull market. When you look at this correction, it's wonderful. The market had come down. You changed the pattern all the way back here where you stop making lower highs and lower lows. Learn to read a pattern. Once the market cleared that, the game's over, okay? That leg of the downtrend is fully done. You don't just go from bear to bull market. If you believe that, wonderful. You go from bear market to corrections. And typically then you decide what next. It'll probably be another attempt at another leg to the downside. But when you look at the swing line, it's really helpful. The swing line didn't have to get over this high to tell you that it already had a pattern of higher lows, higher highs. It ended this downtrend before taking out the big rally high over there. Number two, The market did that. And as soon as it got right here over the 18-day average, it was systems go. And watch what the market did. It just jumped. Because traders realize, be it my 18-day average, a 20 or a 21-day average, averages are used because it gives a reference point on a chart. And the algorithms and others that know how to work with these, they trigger in such a way that you get an expectation. Does the market live up to the expectation? That's what trading's about. Nobody knows. Just because I think it should do that doesn't mean it does. Otherwise, I'd be the richest chartist in the world. I'm good, but I'm not the richest chartist in the world. Higher lows, higher highs, market backing off a little bit. Okay, I can live with that, and that's where you're at right now. Let's assume it keeps rallying. Where's it going? Well, potentially, you've got two resistance points. You've got 4,337 and 4,437 as two resistance points. But the most likely candidate is the Bollinger Band. And the Bollinger Band is right here, and what do you think stopped that market today? Learn how to work with Bollinger Bands. I have an enhanced Bollinger Band course. Take a look at it at the end of this. Learn to work with this. Learn as you hit these. You're waiting for the bounces. Learn how to tie it into momentum, be it embedded or overbought. You get overbought, you run to that Bollinger Band. If you were sitting next to me and you were saying, Ira, what do I do? I'd have that elbow going into your side. Go, what do you think you're going to do? Assuming you're long. Same thing up here. No, you're not hanging around. You're getting overbought into resistance. Same here. Let the other guys own it over the Bollinger Band. Over it, you're only going to stay 5% of the time. I want to be the casino. I want to own the 95% of that bet, okay? It's not going to do that. You get down here, that means you can sell better. That's the concept. I'm not saying it changes a trend one way or the other. If you're in a downtrend, I think you can do a little better on the price entry. If you're in an uptrend, you hit it, and you want to be a buyer, which I don't see an uptrend, but don't do it right there. Also, learn to look at the weekly charts. None of the weekly charts are bullish, not one of them. Now, when you look at the VIX cash, you're entering oversold territory. So as you're coming down here, if the VIX is breaking, is that bullish or bearish for the stock market? Let's think about it. You know what it is. You break here, it's bullish stocks. You don't need as much insurance. You're fighting the battle at the 100-day average. You could drop to the Bollinger Band. You could drop to the 200. I doubt you're going much lower than that. So I think you're getting to a zone of support right now. In the 30-year bonds, you've got to remember we have important jobs data coming out. Now, is it going to show the labor market's tighter? I don't know. Is it going to show the labor market's finally gotten itself into an area here where maybe there's some relief? Don't know. What I do know is if you're going on vacations, I think you're going to run into a shortage of help in a lot of areas. I think you'll find the service you get probably not what you think. I think it could be a hotel, it could be a restaurant, it could be the pool. There's trouble. In Chicago, we can't get enough lifeguards for our beaches, our public beaches. Are they going to be closed? Loss of service. Where are these kids to take this job? Are they going to hold handguns this summer and shoot each other? I don't get what's going on. When I look at the market, though, back into the support, why I don't like that is I never went to summer camps. I wasn't rich enough, my family. And I had to work hard. And you'd get a job, you'd see an opening, you'd take it. We got plenty of kids of every nationality, every race. Why aren't they taking these jobs? Lower high, lower low, down to the 18-day average. In the 10-year note, same thing. Higher high, lower low, a little bit of a correction. Got to wait and see what this is all going to be about. Now the dollar index. You got an embedded reading. What do I think is going to happen? You get an embedded reading, you get bounces, the pros are going to sell into them. They'll say, I'm wrong when the red line closes over 21, and until then, they get aggressive on you to the short side. In the euro, the market is still a buy. You've got an embedded reading. Well, when did this happen? So if we take a look right here, both numbers were not over 80. You need them both over 80. This is what I teach you in this enhanced course that we're talking about. Day 1, 2, 3, you're embedded, right? But let's count again. You can't count Wednesday. So let's go to Tuesday. Let's go to Friday. You need the day before it to be both over 80. You don't have an embedded reading. You're simply overbought. Pay attention and learn from those things. The British pound, trying to embed as well. But when you're trying to embed, you're at what point? You're at your most overbought if you're trying to embed bullish. If you're trying to embed bearish, you're at most oversold until it locks in. So that's what you're getting in these markets. Nice run up, but they got to prove they can embed. Bitcoin, beautiful run to the upside. It finally occurred. If you'll remember, when you lost the embedded reading here, I told you an event was happening that I didn't like. You come in, you lose the embedded reading. You're looking for the market to get back to the 18-day average before this low was taken out again. And what does the market do? Instead of it going anywhere, and it didn't really, it just started lolly-dolling, right? And each day, this 18-day average is falling sharply, okay? It's not falling $30 a day. It's falling $500, $400 a day. Do you see that? So when you finally, if you get to that number, as I still think you will before here, I don't know what it's going to be, but here's what I do know. The idea of where you bought it for the breakout to the upside, you got a loss on your hands. It's a question of how much. And today it told me 30,454 was the target. I'm not saying it can't go higher. It's already overbought. That's all that it owed when you lose the embedded reading. Take the enhanced Bollinger Band course. August Brent versus WTI, August. A pop to the upside. So suddenly the market's gone from staying for most of April and May under the 18-day average of close difference and jumps over it. All of a sudden, the Brent is getting even stronger than the WTI. That's fascinating. When you look at the markets, what would I teach you if you were next to me? You tell me what you do each time you're going to get up and you're going to hit that number. Watch. Bingo. Out, out, out. What do you do? Out, out, out. Okay? Let it embed if you want, but you got to still take money off the table. Got to take money off the table. Got to take money off the table when you hit that number. If you didn't do it here, you're in big pain. This market has gone from the 940 area roughly all the way down $1 a thermal unit. That's big money, big money. And you've entered a downtrend unless you take out the highs of today. This is a big outside day down. Unless that's taken out, the odds favor you got a new downtrend that is formed. You're saying maybe you can get down there. I don't know if that's going to actually happen given you're $1 down already. I don't see why you'd lose a third of the value of the market. We haven't even had the hot weather. When you get the hot weather, whatever the chart pattern is, forget it. It's going to turn bullish on you almost instantly. Your head will spin how fast. So what I really think it did is it said it got ahead of itself and it's going to pull back here and hang in and wait for another bullish pattern to try to develop. Now, it'll fail if we don't get warm weather. Are we going to get it? Tomorrow's June 1st. I think you're going to get it. So as I said, you want to watch these Bollinger Bands. Pay attention to this. Welcome. I'm Ira Epstein, and I'm here to talk about my enhanced Bollinger Band course. Now, many of you have taken my regular charting course, and if not, you might think you know something about Bollinger Bands. As you know, Bollinger Bands are an algorithm designed to keep the market trading within it 95% of the time, and on a chart, it will offer on the top part resistance, on the bottom support, and the idea is the market will travel within them. We know that sometimes it latches onto that band, goes up or goes down. Well, how do you play with that? Can you pyramid the positions off that type of thinking? Well, I've applied all three of these into 13 different videos that teach you my concept of it. And from that concept, you're able to work with weekly charts and or daily charts. The 13 videos, each about 7 minutes long. The idea here is not to put you in school forever, but to teach. Now, if you haven't tried my complete futures research, I throw that in as well Whether you've tried this or not, I think it's worth taking a look at. I think you're going to learn something from there. That research, by the way, covers twice daily market updates for you and access to what I call window envelope numbers, which I think are very important when looking at these Bollinger Bands. The next part is a trial to our charting software so you can make your charts look the same way that mine do. It's that simple. Where do you go with it and how do you get all this? It's simple. You go to our website, www.iraepstein.com. If you go to the word education, everything you need is answered there. You can also call my staff. They'll be happy to help you get set up. I'm Ira Epstein, on the road to your education.